Amina bent over her sewing machine, the rhythmic hum of the needle stitching through fabric the only solace in her small shop. She had been a seamstress since her teenage years, taking over her late mother's business. Life in Lagos was unforgiving, and Amina barely made enough to keep her rented shop and single-room apartment. Each morning, she prayed for a miracle, but after years of hardship, she had learned to rely only on her own hands. One sweltering afternoon, a well-dressed man entered her shop. He introduced himself as Mr. Adewale, a lawyer from a prestigious firm. "Miss Amina Hassan?" he asked, adjusting his glasses. Amina nodded warily, her fingers pausing over the fabric. "I am here regarding an inheritance left in your name." At first she thought it was a cruel joke, but the seriousness in his gaze told her otherwise. "An inheritance? From whom?" she asked, her heart pounding. Adewale smiled. "That is for you to discover, but before you can claim it, there is one condition." Amina sat frozen as Adewale handed her a thick envelope. Inside were legal documents confirming a large sum of money left to her by an anonymous benefactor. But there was a catch. To access the fortune, she had to find true love and marry within 1 year. If she failed, the inheritance would go to charity. "This must be a mistake," she murmured. She had never heard of anyone in her family possessing such wealth, much less leaving it to her. "I'm afraid it's quite real," Adewale assured her. "Your benefactor believed in love above all things. The money is yours, but only if you fulfill their wish." Amina's mind spun. She had never considered marriage a priority. Now, with riches within her grasp, she had to make the most difficult decision of her life: search for love or walk away from a future she had never dared to dream of. Word of Amina's fortune spread like wildfire. Within days, her modest shop was overrun with suitors, men from all walks of life, each professing their love for her. Some were wealthy businessmen offering a life of luxury. Others were charming but clearly opportunistic. It overwhelmed her. Among them was Abdul, the friendly deliveryman who had always been kind to her before she had a single coin to her name. Unlike the others, he didn't suddenly profess undying love, but instead congratulated her with a warm smile. Amina found herself appreciating his sincerity. Amid the chaos, Amina struggled with doubt. How could she know who truly loved her for herself, and not for the fortune she stood to inherit? The flattery of her new suitors felt hollow, and she found herself retreating more into her work, seeking clarity. She spoke with Adewale, hoping for guidance. "How do I find true love in a year?" she asked. The lawyer shrugged. "Perhaps love is already around you." His words lingered in her mind as she thought of Abdul, the one man whose behavior had not changed since her windfall. Determined to test her suitors, Amina devised a plan. She pretended that the inheritance had been revoked, watching how each man reacted. Many vanished instantly, their affections evaporating. Others tried to feign concern, but soon lost interest. Only Abdul remained, treating her no differently than before. Her heart stirred with an unfamiliar emotion. Could it be that love had been beside her all along? Amina's aunt, a practical woman, urged her to marry quickly. "Don't waste this opportunity, child," she said. "You need security." But Amina resisted, unwilling to marry without love. Her resolve only strengthened as she observed Abdul's quiet but steadfast presence in her life. One evening, she overheard two suitors discussing how they planned to deceive her into marriage. Rage burned in her chest. That night, she confronted them publicly, exposing their deceit. The crowd gasped as the men fled in shame. The incident only deepened her distrust of new admirers. Meanwhile, Abdul continued to be a source of comfort. He never pressed for attention or demanded anything from her. Instead, he supported her business, bringing in new customers. Their conversations grew longer, their laughter more frequent. Amina found herself looking forward to seeing him every day. As the year drew closer to its end, Amina questioned whether she loved Abdul or simply appreciated his kindness. Could gratitude be mistaken for love? Seeking answers, she visited an elderly neighbor, Mama Aife, who had been married for 50 years. "Love is not grand gestures, my dear," Mama Aife said. "It is consistency. It is knowing someone will be there, no matter what." Amina finally understood. Love was not about extravagant declarations, but about unwavering presence. Abdul had always been there, without expectations. Her heart knew what her mind had resisted admitting. She loved him.